Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my little chats on quantum healing and how we can get through these interesting times with our sanity intact. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Natasha Rosewood, Master Intuitive Quantum Healer and author. So, tonight we're going to be talking about what do you really deserve? And I'm going to be giving you 5 tips on how you can revamp your self-image so that you can, in fact, have what you truly deserve. And there are reasons why that there are reasons why you haven't been having that, and you may not be aware of this, but we're going to shed some light on it tonight. So deservability is one of my big topics, and I could write a book on it, but I'm just going to keep it short and sweet tonight so that you can absorb what I have to say. So we all walk around with a thermostat in our subconscious minds and in our egos of what we think we deserve, who we think we are, and how good or bad or bright we are. So, what do you think you deserve? And where does this self-image come from? Um, we come into this life and we are born and we are babies, obviously, we grow up and we're surrounded by so many influences. And we're like little sponges. We just take it all in without questioning sometimes. Sometimes we do reject what we see or hear, but many times we just kind of take it all in and don't question it. So those things become our self-image. I just want to thank Peter and Dreamweaver for coming on. It's always nice to know that somebody's listening with me. So a lot of these things, a lot of these elements in our self-image, whether we think we deserve something, whether we're guilty, whether we're a winner, whether we're a loser, are we intelligent, are we stupid? A lot of this comes from many different sources. So some of the sources I want to talk about because some people don't even think about these. So past lives, for example. Often I deal with many people that have gone through very big traumas in their past lives, which has left them feeling guilty or, oh, I shouldn't have any power because I don't deserve it. I'm not responsible. I was leading my tribe into battle and I led them the wrong way and everybody died. So we come back into this life feeling like, no, you don't want to give me anything because you know what? I'm a disaster. So that's all embedded in our soul and our subconscious. Then we have traumas in our lives, and traumas can be anything from witnessing something negative that happens to someone we love, or being in a car accident, or being in a war. And these traumas we tend to take on as things that are us. We tend to, again, absorb them into our skin as if that trauma is us. And what I do in my quantum healing process is take the trauma and put it on the side and say, listen, this happened for you, not to you. So what is it that you can take from that that's actually going to support your healthier self-image? Then there are the ancestors. And I've seen this many times, especially when I've done the past life regressions, that the ancestors come through in spirit and say, oh, thank God this person is actually dealing with this issue that all our ancestors have been having to face as a challenge in our lifetimes. And when we start the addictive behavior, for example, or we start to love ourselves, the ancestors are also off the hook. So we have brought through the challenges that our ancestors have been living with, sometimes for decades and decades. And this can affect our self-image as well. And it's very kind of insidious. We don't know, we're not aware. And when we when we release it or we heal it, it's like, yeehaw, I feel so much lighter and better. Our parents, of course, God bless them. We come in through these two beings, and even in the womb, we are absorbing by osmosis our mother's belief, our father's beliefs, the environment that's going on outside. We're very aware of it energetically. What are we going to be born into? And so we're taking on absolutely their stuff, if you like. They're good. They're good as well. So it's good to become aware of all these things. Religion if you're brought up in a very strict religion, or you weren't brought up without any religion at all. That can absolutely affect your identity and your belief systems about who you are. I went to church when I was 7 because my parents weren't religious. And this vicar stood there and pointed the finger and said, "You're all born out of sin. You're all miserable sinners." And I went, "Hang on a second. How does he know that?" I rejected that. And I'm glad I did. So, but some people accept it and then they feel guilty all their lives, even though they haven't done anything. Our culture, of course, can influence us. Our friends, our peers, absolutely. We take everything from the outside as signs of who we are. And I'm here to say we need to balance that out and go inside to look at the truth of that and not accept willy-nilly what everybody else or the outer world says about us, because many times it just isn't true. Hi, Dreamweaver. Glad to talk to you tonight. I'm looking forward to speaking with you on Thursday. And then there are teachers. I was told by a teacher through my sister, so I'm not too sure if it was actually true, that I couldn't write. But I decided I'm a writer and I had to write. And if I was terrible at it, I would just learn to be good. So that could have stopped me dead in my tracks, and probably did for many years. But eventually I knew the truth of my desire to write, and I overcame that message. We give our power away to many, many people. Some people give their power away to social media, TV shows. What are the messages coming from the outside of us in our world? And this is where we need to be discerning and discriminating. So who are you giving your power away to? So we come into the world and we absorb all these influences into our system, and that goes often down into our subconscious mind. And the subconscious is like a neutral database that doesn't question it, just takes it in and says, okay, this is the truth, this is my data, these are the facts, and I'm going to operate from this reality. And the challenge is to remember who we really are. This is why we come to the life, to remember that we're not all of these messages that we've got from the universe. We're actually so much more. And the gift is to choose who we want to become. Hi, Coral. I'm glad you're back again. Thanks for joining. And so when we have acquired these subconscious belief systems, we have said, are we intelligent? Are we 6 out of 10? Are we 4 out of 10? Who are we? Where do we fit in the scale? And whatever we decide that we are, that's what we're going to feel that we deserve. And that's all we're going to get. Because if you're a 4 magnet, you're going to get 4 experiences or 4 type people or 4 type events. If you think you're an 8, great, you're going to get much better. You might, from time to time, believe you're a 10. That's fantastic. And my mission with everybody I see and everybody I work with is to say, come on, let's lift ourselves up, because there's so much more that you deserve, and so much more joy and happiness and amazing events and fun that you can have in this world. You don't have to accept what you've been told. In fact, I challenge you to challenge your belief systems. So we tend to put limits or permissions on what we can have or cannot have. So a lot of my clients come to me and I'll say, you know what, Janet, I think you're a writer. And she said, oh no, I can't write. And then the tears start to trickle down her cheek. And I say, well, if this doesn't touch you, why are you crying? Why is it moving you? Because deep down, she knows that's the truth of who she is. But somebody's told her, or many people have told us, oh, you can't write, or you'll never make money at that, or who do you think you are? And she's accepted that as the truth. But when we actually excavate the real truth, and she starts to go, well, maybe I could, I encourage people to go do it just for the sake of doing it, not to be a Pulitzer Prize winning writer, although that's great as well, but just to do what we enjoy and what we love and what makes us feel good. So what are you putting limits on And what are you giving yourself permission to do? So, hi, we've got Jen and Mindy. And yeah, that's great. People are just signing up here. So, this is a very big topic. Like I say, I'm just going to really tap onto some very minor points, but I may bring this up again and we'll go deeper into this. So, we know that the universe always makes us right about what we believe. So I used to have a girlfriend, she said, all men are bad. And I said, well, you know what? That's not the truth. Um, some men are bad some of the time, some women are bad some of the time. And we all have our dualities, our good and bad sides. So it's really up to us to question the beliefs and what people are saying around us. Many of my clients don't watch the news anymore because they don't want that negative input into their souls and their subconscious. They choose to believe that the world is a good place and it's not going to hell in a handbasket. It's not mayhem. So again, we need to all be on alert at this time to not judge, but just discern, is that true or is that not true? Is that true about me or is it not true about me? So you will know what your self-image is by the results that you get in your life. So do you feel like a winner? Do you always get the first spot? Do you always get exactly what you want, or do you kind of go, well, that'll do? Um, you know, that what we actually get in our lives is telling us what our subconscious beliefs are. So we're going to work from the outside, going backwards and going back to the core of who we where we started, and then we're going to revamp our belief systems and our self-image. And the more we revamp this, the more we see how absolutely beautiful and amazing, powerful we are, the more we're going to change the results that we get on the outside. So if you want to change the results, uh, you will increase the desirability. So how do we change our self-image? This is the age-old question. There are many modalities out there for accessing the subconscious, and I'm not going to necessarily talk about those today. I just want to start you off on some homework that you can do. And this was very powerful for me because I grew up in a family of 7. And as I say, if my mother hadn't been psycho, I wouldn't be psychic. And she was absolutely brutal to me. My father was not very nice, emotionally unavailable, and never said, well, that's great. It was always like, well, you can't do that, or who do you think you are? And then I had my 4 dear siblings who picked up on that thread. And I was at the bottom of the totem pole, so I got it from 6 people. And I was 44 when I did this. It's a little ways, little time, in the past. But when I did this, it absolutely shifted me into a very different level of deservability because I got it like, oh my gosh, I've been living by this reality all this life, but actually, this is the truth about who I am. And then this is who I'm going to choose to become. So let's just play with this. The number one tip for revamping your self-image is ask yourself, who were you told that you are? What was the feedback that you got? Now remember, if you came from dysfunctional parents, which most of us did, and we're still trying to figure it out, so not to blame them, but just to notice what was the message they gave you about you, especially if you were female and you had a mother that believed that she didn't have any power at all over her own life. Or maybe one of your parents was weak and they weren't able to defend you. So you got the message that you weren't worth defending, you weren't worth fighting for. So look at those messages. Are you intelligent? Were you told that you were stupid? Are you attractive or ugly? Are you a winner or a loser? Are you creative or can't you draw a stick man? So many of my clients say that, and I always argue with them because we are all creative beings. And Coral Barclay is a wonderful, wonderful artist, so she can probably attest to this. But I feel there's something creative in us that wants to come out. And creative doesn't mean being a painting artist or a writer or a musician. It can just be creating something that you're proud of. Number 2, Once you figured out who you were told that you are, ask yourself, who are you really? And when I did this, what I did was I got a sheet of paper and I put on the left-hand column, who was I told that I am? Because left is often past. And on the right-hand side, I put, who am I really? And in the words that I wrote in the left and the right were completely opposite of each other. So I was told I was stupid, and then I figured out, actually, I think I'm quite bright. I speak 5 languages. I always got promoted early in my jobs. I think I'm actually quite intelligent. Um, I was told I was ugly by my dear brothers. And now, years later, because I changed it, I said, no, I choose to be beautiful. And now people compliment me on my beauty, which is very, very, on the inside or the outside, it does not matter. Because I think when we believe that we are beautiful beings, we emanate beauty. So it doesn't matter whether we're tall, short, thin or fat, whatever. The beauty comes from the inside and we emanate it. And that's the message we're giving out to the world. So that's when we get that feedback. So who are you really? Once you get outside of all this feedback that you got earlier in your life, you decide who you are. If you have difficulty with this, please ask people, friends, family that you love and trust and you know really support you to pay you compliments. And get yourself a small compliment journal and just write a compliment in each page. And then if you're having a bad day where you feel like a schmuck or you just feel like nobody loves you or that you're not winning at anything, read that compliment journal just before you go to sleep and let those messages filter down into your subconscious. Remember who you really are. I did that for a while because my mother's messages and her cruel comments to me stuck in my head for a long, long time. And I really had to get rid of them. And I really had to superimpose the truth of who I was over what her stuff was that she landed on me. So you can do the same. And ask a sister, or a friend, or a mother, if you have a nice mother, what they love about you. What's great about you? What do you love about yourself? What's the magic of you? Uh, Number 3 is now we're going to choose, who do you want to become? So for me, 44, I figured like, I really want to write. It was a burning desire in me. But of course, back in the day, I've been told, you can't write, Natasha. You don't know what you're talking about. So I made the decision that I was going to become a writer and I was going to find somebody that could train me to become a writer. And I'm very happy to say that 20 years later, I'm still working with this amazing woman. She's birthed me through almost 5 books now. And now she says to me, Natasha, you're a fantastically good writer. And this woman has won the Lieutenant Governor General's Award for her contribution to literature. So you can do that with whatever you want to become. You are not affixed in your image. You're not affixed as a human being. Like I say, we're creative, we're evolving. So it's good for you to choose who you want to become instead of just comply with what you've been told who you are. So it's very exciting. Number 4, we're going to change your past. What I find with most of my clients is that what's happened in the past, if it's a trauma or the mother was cruel, the father was cruel, or uh, they just ended up with alcoholic man or there was abuse going on, we can change that. We can have a different memory of it. We can reframe it and put it in a different context so that actually out of all those events, we become the winner. We are the winner. So we need to choose to do that. So, like I said, my kind of mantra is, if my mother hadn't been psycho, I wouldn't be psychic. Now, at the time, dealing with her was absolutely pure hell because she was mentally very damaged. She had a personality disorder. She was an alcoholic and she was psychic. She was very dangerous. But eventually, I worked towards very hard making that those that 20 years of being with her and all that abuse that came out through that time, turning that into something that was going to benefit me. And I think that's why I became psychic. And because I couldn't empower her, I'm able to empower others. So look back at your events in your life and all the nasty things that people may have said to you, or the jobs you didn't get, or the relationships that failed, and think about now what could have been the benefit for me in that. And if it's happened very, very recently, it might take you a little time. First, you need to heal the grief. If there's been a loss and you're still in the first rawness of the pain, give be gentle with yourself. But if it's been 5 to 10 years behind you, write your story and say, these are the things that happened, and this is what I thought this said about me. Um, Maybe I lost a job, and maybe that said that, oh, I'm not good enough at blah, blah, blah. But maybe by losing that job, something else happened just after that that was actually much more beneficial to you. Or maybe you went away and said, well, maybe I need to learn more or qualify more. There will have been a gift. I call it the golden nugget. So write down all your events, and from each one, take a golden nugget and put that into your self-image box and say, look at me. Aren't I fantastic? I'm stronger. I'm more aware. Maybe I'm more compassionate. Maybe I'm smarter. I'm more educated because of these things that happened. Because, like I say, these things happen to us. Sorry, I'm saying these things happen for us, not to us. There's always a benefit. Number 5, um, and as you know, I am a quantum healer, and I do believe that these things that happen to us do go deep into our subconscious and into our soul. And sometimes it's not easy just to say, oh, well, I'll do this and then I'll be okay. Um, we need help. And I've gone for lots of help over the years, trust me. And this is why now I offer the quantum healing, because what I see in people, I can predict and see their higher self and see their better future and see their great self image and see what they truly deserve. But it's very frustrating for me when people go away and I think, oh, they're not going to climb that ladder. They're not going to put these events to rest, or they're not going to do this work on themselves. So with the quantum healing, we go deep and I listen to your story and I help you unravel and see the patterns that have emerged out of everything you've been through so far, and take those golden nuggets and use those as a foundation for your new story. So we're going to write a new story for you, and every day is a new story. So for me, I like to get up and think, I'm going to be on a TV show. I want to really have a TV show where I can make all this stuff very entertaining so that people enjoy it as they're learning. And we're learning from story. I'm writing my book on quantum healing. That's going to be a huge success. Lon and I are going to travel the world more. There's going to be so many more things that I want to do. And by the way, if you are at a 6 or a 7 or an 8 out of 10 in your self-image, that's great, because we're always evolving. We're always creating. So even when you get to 10, you'll still want more. But that's okay, because that's the nature of who we are in on this planet as humanity. We're always evolving. We're always improving and getting better. So I want you to aim towards joy. Know that whether you're feeling like a 1 or a 2 today or a 10, just know that you are so amazing. You're a miracle that you're here on this planet. There's a reason for you being here. You have gifts, absolutely. Whether you know what those gifts are or you don't know what they are, you don't feel good enough, just begin to express them, even just for fun. If you wanted to be a ballet dancer when you were little, go out and buy a tutu and just dance around your living room. Or you wanted to be a car mechanic or an artist, just go and begin it and let that bring out your essence and the magic of you and who you really are. Because in my eyes, you're all a 10. So I want to thank all of you. Grace, thank you for coming, and Melanie, Jen, Mindy, Peter, all these people. So wonderful to see you coming on here. And, I'd really love to hear your stories. If you've changed your self-image, how you did that. I really want to start talking about you guys a lot more, and with your permission. And if you've got any feedback on how I can improve these little talks, please let me know. I am working on trying to make it succinct and so it works for you. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next Tuesday. And I'm not too sure what I'm going to be talking about next Tuesday, but I'll let you know a few days ahead. So thank you for joining. All is well. Bless you. Love you. Good night.